You are looking at one of the most underrated home designs in America right now. Long, narrow, affordable, with a front porch that makes your neighbors jealous and a back porch that is basically your private outdoor living room. And underneath it all, a full basement. I'm talking about the shotgun tiny house with basement and double porch. And today, we are breaking down every single dollar it takes to build one in 2026. Foundation, framing, porches, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, permits, all of it. Now before I give you those numbers, I want you to know something. I'm not going to round things up to make this sound cheaper than it is. I'm not sponsored by any builder. I pulled real 2026 data from industry sources, and I'm going to give it to you straight. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what a shotgun tiny home with a basement and dual porches costs, what you can cut to save money, and what you absolutely cannot skip. If you're serious about building or buying a tiny home, hit that subscribe button right now because we drop honest, research-backed tiny home content every week. No fluff, no fantasy builds, just real numbers for real people. All right, let's get into it. First, let us make sure we are all on the same page about what a shotgun house actually is. Because this design has a 200-year history in America, and it is making a serious comeback. A shotgun house is a long, narrow structure where all the rooms line up in a straight row from front to back. No hallways. You walk through one room to get to the next. The name comes from an old saying, fire a shotgun through the front door and the bullet flies clean through every room and out the back without hitting a single wall. For a tiny home version, we are typically looking at a structure that is 12 to 16 feet wide and anywhere from 40 to 80 feet long. That gives you anywhere from around 500 to 900 square feet of main living space on a very efficient footprint. Now here is what makes our specific version unique. We are adding a full basement below grade, a traditional covered front porch, and a covered back porch. This transforms a humble design into something with serious livability, storage, and southern charm. The layout from front to back looks like this: front porch, living room, bedroom or two, kitchen, bathroom, and then out to the back porch. Basement access is typically through a staircase positioned in the kitchen or utility area. Here is the architectural advantage that most people miss. Because the porches sit at both ends and the basement handles mechanicals and storage below, the main structure envelope only needs to do the heavy lifting for living space. That keeps your framing costs leaner than a comparable square footage in a traditional footprint. Why is this design gaining traction in 2026? 3 reasons. Narrow lots in urban infill areas. Rising land prices make small footprints attractive. And the simple efficiency of a rectangular build that eliminates complicated roof lines and expensive corners. Now let us talk about real numbers. Here is the total cost range for a professionally built shotgun tiny house with basement and dual porches in 2026. For a mid-range build in most U.S. markets, you are looking at a total of approximately $121,000 to $238,500. That range accounts for regional variation, finish level, and lot conditions. Budget-conscious DIY builders with real construction skills can bring that down to the $75,000 to $100,000 range for the shell and basement, with interior finishes added incrementally. But that requires serious sweat equity and genuine trade knowledge. On the luxury end, with premium finishes, high-end porches, and a fully finished basement, you can push well past $238,000. We're going to focus on that honest mid-range today because that is where most of you actually live. Here is how the money breaks down across the major categories. Foundation and basement, $27,000 to $51,000. Main structure, framing, exterior, roof $28,500 to $53,000. Front and back porches, $19,500 to $38,000. Plumbing, $6,000 to $12,000. Electrical, $8,000 to $14,000. HVAC, $6,000 to $10,000. Interior finishes, $19,000 to $43,500. Permits and site work, $7,000 to $17,000. We're going to walk through every single one of these. Do not go anywhere. This is the biggest single line item on your budget, and it is the one people underestimate the most. Here is the reality in 2026. Adding a full basement to a new home build adds between $25,000 and $45,000 compared to building on a simple concrete slab. That is for an unfinished basement with poured concrete walls, a concrete floor, and basic mechanicals. Now here is an important update for 2026 that a lot of older cost guides still get wrong. Finishing that basement space has gotten significantly more expensive due to rising insulation costs, drywall, and stricter building code requirements for air quality and moisture control. Cost per square foot to finish that space now runs $35 to $80 per square foot below grade, driven up by recent updates to building codes for insulation and air quality tracking. Now, if you want to finish a 600 square foot basement, a basic package starts around $19,000, while a mid-range setup with a bathroom can easily add $30,000 to $48,000 on top of your raw structural foundation costs. For our 600 square foot shotgun footprint, here's what you are realistically paying just for the structural foundation work. Excavation and site prep, $8,000 to $15,000. Poured concrete foundation walls, $10,000 to $18,000. Concrete floor and waterproofing, $5,000 to $10,000. Basic mechanicals and egress, $4,000 to $8,000. Unfinished basement structural subtotal, $27,000 to $51,000. One critical caveat here: soil conditions are the wild card that can blow your budget. Rocky soil, high water tables, or expansive clay can add thousands in extra excavation costs. Before you commit to a basement, get a soil test done. It typically costs $300 to $500 and can save you from a very expensive surprise mid-project. Here's the good news. Even unfinished, that basement gives you hundreds of square feet of storage, utility space, or future living area at the lowest cost per square foot in your entire build. It is where this design earns its money. Now we're going up. The main structure of your shotgun tiny house. This is framing, exterior sheathing, siding, windows, doors, and roofing. Here's the thing about a shotgun design that works in your favor financially. The simple rectangular footprint means fewer corners, no complex bump outs, and a straightforward roofline. That translates directly to lower framing costs compared to a traditionally shaped home of equal square footage. And because the porches sit at both ends and the basement handles mechanicals below, your main structure envelope is doing exactly the work it needs to do and nothing more. That architectural efficiency is a real cost advantage. Framing walls in 2026 costs $18 to $24 per linear foot. Framing the roof costs $6 to $15 per square foot. For a 14 by 60 foot shotgun structure, you're looking at framing costs in a range of $12,000 to $20,000. Add to that exterior sheathing and house wrap, $3,000 to $5,500. Siding, vinyl entry level to fiber cement mid-range for $1,500 to $9,000. Windows and doors, $4,000 to $8,500. Metal or architectural shingle roofing, $5,000 to $10,000. Total for the main structure shell, $28,500 to $53,000 for the full envelope. One design tip that saves money and adds huge curb appeal on a shotgun: go with a simple gable roof. That is actually the traditional shotgun style, and it is both cheaper to build and more durable long-term than a hip or complex intersecting roof design. Now here's the part you've been waiting for, because this is what makes a shotgun tiny house feel like a home and not just a box. The porches. A front porch and a back porch are not optional in this design. They are structural to the experience. They extend your living space outdoors. They create that classic Southern welcome, and they add real resale value. In 2026, building a front or back porch runs $40 to $120 per square foot installed, depending on materials and complexity. For the front porch on a shotgun tiny house, you are typically looking at a 12 by 14 foot to 14 by 16 foot covered porch. That gives you about 168 to 224 square feet. Front porch, 168 square feet. Mid-range, $8,500 to $16,000. The back porch is typically slightly larger and more functional, often used for dining and relaxing. Budget for 200 to 280 square feet. Back porch, 240 square feet. Mid-range $11,000 to $22,000. Combined porch total, $19,500 to $38,000 for both. Here is where you can save real money. Pressure-treated lumber porches on a concrete footing are the most cost-effective option at the lower end of that range. Composite decking, wood columns, and decorative railings push you toward the higher end. For a shotgun tiny house, pressure-treated decking with painted wood columns nails the aesthetic at a very reasonable price. A screened back porch instead of an open one adds roughly $3,000 to $6,000, but extends your usable season dramatically in warmer climates. If you're in the South or Southeast, seriously consider this upgrade. One thing to never skip: proper footing for both porches. Porch footings run $200 to $500 each and prevent the settling and cracking that turns a beautiful porch into an expensive repair within 10 years. Plumbing is the line item that surprises a lot of first-time builders. On a shotgun design, the layout actually works in your favor because the linear floor plan means shorter pipe runs and less complex plumbing routing. Total plumbing cost for a shotgun tiny home in 2026 ranges from $6,000 to $12,000, including rough-in, fixtures, and a water heater. Plumbing rough-in, pipes, drain, vent stack $3,500 to $6,500. Fixtures, toilet, sink, shower, kitchen $1,500 to $3,500. Tankless water heater, recommended $1,200 to $2,800. A few important notes here. Go with a tankless water heater. They run $600 to $2,600 for the unit and are ideal for tiny homes because they eliminate the bulky tank and deliver hot water on demand. If you're putting a bathroom or utility sink in the basement, budget an additional $2,500 to $5,000 for basement plumbing and the sump pump you will absolutely need with a below-grade space. Plumbers in 2026 charge $45 to $150 per hour. In high cost-of-living markets, do not be shocked by quotes at the upper end. Electrical on a tiny home in 2026 runs $8,000 to $14,000 for a complete wired and permitted installation. For a shotgun style with a basement, that number trends toward the higher end because you are wiring 2 levels. Main panel and service entrance, $2,500 to $4,500. Wiring rough-in and outlets throughout, $3,500 to $6,500. Lighting fixtures, $800 to $2,000. Basement electrical, $1,200 to $2,500. One word on solar. In 2026, a basic 3 to 5 kilowatt solar system runs $9,000 to $16,000 installed, but federal tax credits can offset 30% of that cost. If you are building a permanent foundation home and plan to stay for 10 or more years, run the numbers on solar. Depending on your utility rates, the payback period can be as short as 7 to 9 years. Heating and cooling a shotgun tiny house is actually more straightforward than most other layouts because of one thing: airflow. Open the front door and the back door, and you have a natural cross breeze running the full length of the house. The design itself is your first line of HVAC defense. For mechanical HVAC in 2026, most tiny home builders are going with mini-split systems. A 2-zone mini-split system for a shotgun tiny house and basement will run approximately $6,000 to $10,000 installed. Mini-split system, 2 zones, installed $6,000 to $9,500. Ductwork, if using traditional forced air, $3,000 to $6,000 additional. My honest recommendation: go ductless mini-split. They are more efficient, easier to install in a narrow structure, and give you zone-by-zone temperature control. In the shotgun's linear layout, a ductless system just makes sense. Interior finishes are the widest cost variable in any build because this is where personal choice takes over. Here are the realistic 2026 ranges for a 600 to 800 square foot shotgun footprint. And I want to be direct with you. You cannot purchase drywall, insulation, flooring, semi-custom kitchen cabinets, and bathroom tile for $12,000 at 2026 prices. These numbers reflect the real market. Insulation, walls, ceiling, basement $3,500 to $6,500. Drywall and painting $4,000 to $7,500. Flooring LVP entry-level to hardwood mid-range, $3,000 to $8,000. Kitchen cabinets and countertops, $4,500 to $12,000. Bathroom tile and fixtures, $2,500 to $6,000. Interior doors and trim, $1,500 to $3,500. Total interior finishes, $19,000 to $43,500. The smart move for a tiny house budget is to allocate your finished dollars to high visibility surfaces. Invest in good flooring and countertops. Save money on bathroom tile by keeping patterns simple. Avoid custom cabinetry and go with semi-custom instead. One shotgun-specific design tip that costs almost nothing but changes everything. Use light colors throughout. Dark colors in a narrow space make it feel like a tunnel. Light walls, light trim, and well-placed mirrors do more for livability than any expensive finish upgrade. This section is the one that catches people off guard. Permits and site work are not glamorous. You do not get to see them in finished photos, but skipping or underestimating them is how builds go sideways. Building permits for a new residential structure in 2026 run $500 to $2,000 for the main permit. But you also need separate permits for electrical at $150 to $500, plumbing at $150 to $500, HVAC at $150 to $400, and grading if your lot requires it at $100 to $1,000. Main building permit, $500 to $2,000. Trade permits, electrical, plumbing, HVAC combined $450 to $1,400. Site grading and excavation, if needed $2,500 to $5,000. Utility connections, water, sewer, electric $2,000 to $5,000. Landscaping and final grading, $1,500 to $3,500. Total permits and site work, $7,000 to $17,000. And here is the number one financial piece of advice I will give you in this entire video. Always budget a contingency of 15 to 20% of your total project cost. That means if your build comes in at $140,000, keep $21,000 to $28,000 in reserve. Because in construction, surprises are not the exception. They are the rule. Let me be direct with you about where the smart savings are and where cutting corners becomes a liability. Where you can save money. Finish level on porches. Pressure-treated lumber instead of composite saves $5,000 to $8,000 easily and still looks excellent when painted. Interior finishes. Semi-custom cabinets instead of custom. LVP flooring instead of hardwood. These are visible choices, but not structural ones. DIY painting. A competent homeowner can paint the entire interior for the cost of materials alone. Keep the basement unfinished initially. Use it for storage and utilities, and finish it in Phase 2 when budget allows. That finishing cost is $35 to $80 per square foot when you are ready, where you absolutely cannot cut corners. Foundation and waterproofing. A failed basement waterproofing system will cost you far more to repair than it would have cost to do right the first time. Electrical panel and rough-in. Undersized panels and sloppy wiring are fire hazards. Full stop. Porch footings. Skimping here leads to settled, cracked porches within a decade. Permits. Building without permits creates title and insurance problems that can make your home unsaleable. The shotgun tiny house with a basement and dual porches is one of the most honest values in residential construction right now. You get efficient living space, a genuine outdoor room on both ends of the house, and a basement that delivers more square footage per dollar than any other square footage you can add to a building. Is it cheap? No. But at $121,000 to $165,000 for a mid-range build, it is significantly below the national average cost of a traditional home, and you're getting a design with real character and real functionality. Do your homework. Get local contractor quotes, because costs in your area may differ from the national averages I showed you today. Get a soil test before committing to the basement. And always build in that contingency budget. If this breakdown helped you, I want you to hit the like button right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube that this kind of honest content is worth sharing. And if you want more real cost breakdowns on tiny home designs, styles, and builds, subscribe to Affordable Tiny Homes. We drop new content every week. There is a link in the description to our full tiny home cost database, where you can compare dozens of designs side by side. I will see you in the next one.